I think that the defense is just looking for things to say. I don't know why it would take so long. It is somewhat of a complicated case, but the prosecution can lay out exactly what went on here. You don't have to go into a
Sure.
great big huge dissertation on things. And I'm not sure how much the defense is going to say. They're going to meticulously try to attack everybody, spend a lot of time on Michael Cohen, a lot of time on Ms. Daniels, but I don't know that they're going to get to the essential issue. One thing that the defense has never adequately explained here is, nor do they deny, is that there was a $130,000 payment made to Ms. Daniels. They don't really have an explanation. They say, well, Donald Trump didn't sleep with her, and somehow she was extorting him. But then, are they really saying that Donald Trump is the kind of man who would pay off an extortionist? I don't think so. They don't have a good explanation. And I think that the argument that maybe Michael Cohen did this out of the goodness of his heart to help Stormy Daniels just doesn't go anywhere.
Donald Trump seems to be learning a little bit more about the process today, Robert. Maybe if he'd hired you, he would have known the way this works with closing arguments. Quote, this is a post on social media. Why is the corrupt government allowed to make the final argument in the case against me? Why can't the defense go last? He writes, big advantage, very unfair, witch hunt, exclamation point. Robert, this is the way it works. It's supposed to work this way, correct? Yes. When you carry the burden of proof.
The government has the burden of proof. That's why the law gives them the last shot. There's a rare situation if the government was to come up with something totally new in their last shot, you can get what's called rebuttal, but it's very, very, very rare. And the government would have to really do something. And I don't see the state prosecutors doing this. The state prosecutors have kind of given us a master class in how to structure good prosecution. It's structured well. Their cross-examinations were excellent. Their presentations of the witnesses were appropriately sequenced and timed. So I don't see them making any kind of blunder like that. And Mr. Trump can, if you notice, Mr. Trump spends a lot of time complaining about procedures because he doesn't really want to talk about the facts.
Well, we will note that he has pleaded not guilty in this case, but after 6 weeks and 22 witnesses, Robert, what is this jury about to go through? And why does everyone seem to think that this will be a brief deliberation?
Because what the jury is going to do is, of course, they're going to be going into a room. I would guess that if closing arguments end today, which they could, the case will be over before Friday. If closing arguments don't end until Thursday, then it might extend it through the weekend and they'll come back. My prediction is this case will be over before Friday, and they're going to have to deliberate. I think that the deliberation will be somewhat short because the quality of the defense is not very high. I think Mr. Trump had some good lawyers, but he was calling the shots here. And I think Mr. Trump is far more interested in what's going on outside of the courtroom than he is what's going on inside of the courtroom. Everything is designed for his political messaging. And look, I'll give you one example. He complains that he can't, has to be in this trial and he can't go out and campaign. Well, if he goes out to campaign in the Bronx, he talked to maybe 8,000 people at that rally. His staff claimed it was 25,000, but the police, now it was only 8,000. Well, okay, so he can't go do that. But you do realize that every day after trial, he gets to go talk to many million because he gets free media time when he makes a statement after every day's course of proceedings. That's free media coverage that reaches millions versus a rally that might reach a few thousand. So he's really designed this to his favors, and he's prepared everybody for his argument after he loses. He's not running around saying this is a great, fair jury. In fact, if they end up acquitting, he's going to be in a kind of a strange situation of turning around and say, well, I guess everything really was fair. So I just don't think that the defense has much quality here in terms of what they're saying. They can't explain certain key issues like, why did Stormy Daniels get paid $130,000?
Well, it sounds like you're bracing for a conviction on at least some of these 34 charges here. CBS News is reporting that the Secret Service has in fact met with New York corrections officials to discuss the possibility of incarceration, Robert. I don't know if that's something that you're allowing for, if there's a couple of days in a room somewhere, but obviously Donald Trump wouldn't be alone in that room. He would require Secret Service protection no matter where he went. Does this sound like a formality to you or a potential reality?
Oh, I think these are smart agents who figure out they have to plan for every contingency. It is a very real possibility that Donald Trump will get convicted. And so they have to plan for that eventuality. A defendant immediately would go into the custody. Well, let's be clear. If he receives jail time on this, he will go into custody of the New York Department of Corrections. When that happens is a little open. It probably wouldn't happen right after conviction, but there is a possibility of that. The judge could decide to do that. In all likelihood, you're going to have about a month or so before a sentencing hearing. And then Donald Trump will request that he be allowed to be released pending his appeal. So it's going to be several months before that eventuality would happen. And he actually would be put in jail. And the judge, for a first-time offense, may decide not to give him jail time. However, given Mr. Trump's behavior, if Mr. Trump wasn't Mr. Trump, he would most assuredly be looking at jail time for his behavior and the way he's conducted himself during the trial.